Hello everyone, this is Teacher Sophia. Are you excited for a new lesson? Well, that's good to hear. Today, we are going to discuss about cognitive perspective of Gestalt psychology. But before that, at the end of the lessons, students are expected to 1. Understand the different Gestalt principles. 2. Apply Gestalt psychology in teaching learning process. And 3. Demonstrate Gestalt principles in teaching learning process. Gestalt psychology, for the information of everybody, is the facade of cognitive psychology, the sphere where it emphasizes that the whole of anything is greater than its parts. To begin with, Gestalt psychology is a school of thought that looks at the human mind and behavior as a whole. Thus, it opposes the external and mechanics of behaviorism. Instead, the minds tend to perceive objects as a greater whole and as elements of more complex system. Now, the term Gestalt means form or configuration. In modern German, the word Gestalt is used to mean the way a thing has been placed or put together. In this view, it must highlight a learner's active learning process and restructuring data for the betterment of their cognitive skills and understanding the lessons.
Hello, this is Bautista Panerio, and at this moment, we are going to discuss about the 6 Gestalt principles. The first principle is the law of proximity, where elements that are closer together will be perceived as a coherent object. Let us take a look at our example, where on the left, the object appears 4 columns, while on the right, it appears like 4 horizontal rows. When objects that are closer together are being perceived, then they are perceived to belong together. The next principle is the law of similarity. In this principle, elements that look similar will be perceived as a part of the same form. In our example, we can see that we are linking the similar elements together. The third principle is the law of closure. For this principle, we are filling the gaps or closing the figure we are perceiving. As we can see in our example, we enclose a space by completing a contour as well as ignoring gaps in the figure. The next one is the law of good continuation. Here, individuals have the tendency to continue certain contours whenever the elements of a pattern is establishing an implied direction. Just like this image, people intend to draw a good continuous line. The fifth principle is the law of good pregnance. This principle is where stimulus will be organized into a figure that is good as possible. Let us take a look in our example. Good refers to symmetry, simplicity, and regularity. The figure above is perceived as a square that's overlapping a triangle, not a combination of several complicated shapes. If we are going to base our experience with perception, we can expect certain patterns and therefore perceiving the expected patterns. The last principle is the law of figure or the law of ground, where we tend to pay attention and perceive things in the foreground first. If we are going to take a look in our example and pay attention in the foreground, we can see an image of a candle stand. But if we are going to look side by side from the image, we are going to see an image of 2 men facing each other. A stimulus will be perceived as separate from its ground.
Thank you, Teacher Apple. Now, we are down to insight learning. So in Gestalt psychology, learning takes place by discovery or insight. Insight learning was developed by Wolfgang Kohler, where in his study, he experimented apes. Result shows that learning was not a reinforcement, but rather a coordination of formulating new organization of materials. What is the relation of Gestalt principles in teaching learning process? As we have finally understand the 6 Gestalt principles, bear in mind that it is not only the perceptions that influences the students but also the impact of learning during the process. Hence, inner forces as well as external forces affects all his perceptions and learnings throughout the course. Now, we have finally come at the end of the lesson. Thank you, Teacher Apple, for your wonderful insights, and I hope you students learned a lot today. Thank you and have a nice day!